welcome to the question and answer series for the month of May. Really good question today. This is a very common question. So the question is, could you discuss the pros and cons of keeping calories the same on both training and non-training days in a gaining phase and make your recommendations? So here we go. Okay. So I think this question stems a lot from the fact that bodybuilders were very interested, or typically as a community, we're very interested in what's happening now. And a good example of our infatuation with what's happening now and what's happening here, the whole missing the forest for the one tree, is the whole carb timing thing. And how just a few years ago it was really taboo to have carbs for your last meal of the day, because you were going to go to sleep right after that, and therefore you weren't using those carbs, you weren't using that energy. The same thing can be said when it comes to how we lay out our nutrition throughout the whole week. I think we rather than focusing on, okay, how much fuel do we need in order to make the right gains, first of all, for our situation, meaning how advanced of a bodybuilder are we? Are we going to gain 5 pounds of muscle this year? Are we going to gain 1 pound of muscle this year? Rather than focusing on that and what kind of surplus we need, and also on the task at hand, how invasive, how much overreaching are we doing during this specific training cycle. So I would much rather base how much we're eating on what it is that we're doing, not on Monday compared to Tuesday, but more so what are we doing during a whole mesocycle, for example. So let's say we're in the midst of a very aggressive overreaching plan where we're training 5 times a week, and we're usually there's 120 to 150 reps per workout in a variety of rep ranges, of course. And then after going through this, we taper so that we can manifest those gains in the next mesocycle. And the mesocycle is a 4-week plan. The next mesocycle, we kind of taper down on the volume and let those gains manifest and cash in on the overreaching. So both those portions would definitely require a different kind of feeding, because one, you're working out 5 times a week. The volume is pretty high, and then the taper, we're now working out 4 times a week, maybe 1 week 4, 1 week 3, and volume has been greatly reduced. Then we would certainly have a different approach to feeding that mesocycle. So I don't like to focus necessarily so much on how much are we burning on Monday, how much are we burning on Tuesday. It's going to turn you into a whack job, for the lack of a better term. It's just a hair that I'd rather would not see split into 4 different pieces. I would much rather focus on how much fuel we require for an extended period of time, rather than, again, Monday compared to Tuesday. And what ends up happening quite often when people are kind of doing this with their intakes, depending on whether or not they're working out, they will end up robbing Peter to pay Paul, and sometimes there tends to be very peaks and valleys that are just way too contrasting. 3,500 calories on a training day, and then 2,200 calories on a non-training day. Now, what I do like to do in terms of the way we have caloric intake fluctuate on a day-to-day basis is using ranges. And I did a video where, and I'm going to link it right here, and I guess I just point to this side. I will link it right here, and this is going to show you how we set up ranges. And this is probably the closest I get to doing this with a caloric intake in the span of a week. And the video is going to explain how we decide how much we eat on that given day, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with whether or not we're having a fantastic leg workout later that day, or or if it's just a couch potato day, it's Sunday and we're watching football. No. So check out that video. It's going to clear up, and it's going to clear up a lot of misconceptions, and it's going to give you some good ideas as to how to set up your macronutrients in the middle of a gaining phase. So that is it, guys. One more video, very interesting question coming up with a very interesting proposal tagged along to that question. So thank you very much, guys. One more, and then we will get the next proposal video out for you guys so that we can have a whole new set of questions to work with.